Porkin the Void is a gloomy, savage, apocalyptic sci-fi tabletop role-playing game about worthless and foolish pig scum striving to find meaning, earn forgiveness, and hoard slop in the cold vacuum of a dying universe. It is a shameful reimagining of the excellent game called Merkborg. Players assume the roles of humanoid pig scum, struggling to survive the dangers lurking in the endless dark of the void. They are pig scum in space. And in space, no one can hear you squeal. So, let's take a look at it. I'll have a link down in the description if you want to pick up the PDF. It is also print on demand. This is actually the Kickstarter version of it right here, but it is print on demand from ttrpg. And while, of course, I'm certain it looks good, this thing, of course, looks much better. It's got that kind of nice feel cover to it that we have seen a lot in books. Neat piece of art here, like the green and the black. We've got a bookmark ribbon here. Here is the spine. And in the back there, in space, no one can hear you squeal. It is by a company named Yogdu Games. And let's take a look at it. So for starters, it's big. It's meaty. It's got a lot of stuff going on for it. And it's kind of like a weird thing where I expected to go into it a little bit like Merkborg, and then I found a much more fleshed out game than what I originally thought it was going to be. It looks good. I mean, I really like some of the design choices they've done for it. Some of this art is pretty cool. And it does a lot of those Merkborg type things that you've come to expect now from a third-party product. And those are things such as, here's tech treasures, here's how to roll up your name, traps and devilry is pretty cool, space anomaly. So it's got these tables in the beginning, to go ahead and get you the juices flowing with imagination about what it's going to be like. Here's corpse plundering, so we've got that kind of searching the body type thing. You roll a d66 for that. Searching a corpse for fun and profit can also be dangerous. So that's interesting. And there's stuff in there like a map of the center of a supermassive black hole, or maybe it says a corpse explodes as you search it. You take D2 acid damage and smell bad for D4 days. That's not good. So obviously, it says here it contains profanity, adult and immature humor, and references to birth defects and suicide. There was a limited edition cover by Johan Nohr, who did, of course, Merkborg. So it is very Merkborg-esque, I should say. You're going to have a lot of fun with this when it comes to, of course, pig noises and names and bacon and all sorts of things like that you would normally expect for something that centers around humanoids that are like pigs. So here's our table of contents. Now, one thing I will say is that it's kind of a weird thing where it tries to do some Merkborg stuff, but it doesn't do it that well, but it actually makes a more easy-to-read game without the crazy fonts that it's very hard to read. And it's chock full of setting and, the worlds that are featured in Porkin the Void. It's very much in the future, and it's going to break down a lot of stuff that's happened in the past, which is cool. It actually gives you more setting stuff than Merkborg does, or many other Merkborg-related products or third-party stuff. I mean, it really tries to flesh out some stuff to it. I mean, you can see just right here, it shares some of the same places and locales of Merkborg, such as Galgenbeck, Sarkash, but they're usually planets. So, like, you have Grift here, here's Kurgus, there's the Principality of the Shadow King, the Bergen Crypt, so very cool stuff like that. It's got black pages, so I don't know exactly how the PDF is going to look. If you wanted to print something off, probably not great. I really enjoy the fact that they fleshed out a lot of what's going on in this dark universe. I mean, look at this right here, the Harbinger of Neshrubel. So we've got a lot of stuff going on here. You have several things. You've got the one true faith and the one true government. It's kind of obviously overarching power structures that goes on within the universe here. And Galgenbeck is going to be the center of the pig scum influence across the void. This is where the first Oinkers reached for the stars millennia ago. The supreme ruler of pig scum across the known void is Emperor Jojungo XIII, ruling over a tired and corrupt fascist republic where corporate interests and religious influence and government power are virtually indistinguishable. So, you're going to have that kind of dark structure that's happening with a bunch of corruption and stuff like that. So, it's neat that, these are different planets, or like the crypt is like a bunch of asteroid. This is where people bury their dead. And it gives you some ideas that there's also people that raid these asteroid belts to gather recruits. They're called the Zomborgs. They're going to be pretty much your main antagonists in this game. So one critique I would have of this right here is there's some pictures from NASA, it says in here. I would love to see just maybe some artist drawings of maybe what these places look like. And a lot of this stuff is kind of like me. I know they got this picture here. It's got me just kind of wishing for a normal game in that sense. It's this fine balance between Merkborg and not Merkborg, where you kind of give me that tried and true grognard drawing of maybe what some of these places look like, other than their their real flowery type of language to describe them, which of course is nice, but it would be nice to have kind of the both of those. That's just something I would like to see. Like, I would love to see what Grift looks like, a huge space station floating on the edge of the biggest void within the void known to Pigscum, a region of space called the Endless Black. I would just like to see what it looks like. So they leave a lot of stuff up to your imagination, obviously. And you'll notice that it does do some changing of the way it looks. It's not drastically different than the way that Merkborg products, like official ones, do, where they change drastically between page and page. I never had any problem really reading any fonts or anything like that, so that's pretty cool. There is some neat stuff going on. There's an enormous upside-down ziggurat known as the Harbinger of Neshrubel, has been on Galgenbeck for 10,000 years, so it has a huge, long history, many thousands of years going back. This thing is pretty much counting down, much like Merkborg. It's got a countdown timer on it that everybody can see. And it says when the number strikes 0, all is lost, the universe ends, and the two basilisks rejoice in nothingness. So it definitely still has, it's like Merkborg in space, obviously, but you're going to be playing pig characters. There's a bunch of cults that are here. They're very interesting as well. And even, I would have to say, just this section right here is way more setting than what you'll find in a normal Merkborg game. So it's weird to be like, this is Merkborg. It isn't kind of like Merkborg. It's giving you more than Merkborg would do. I'm not exactly sure what's up with this page. It shows the two-headed basilisk. Of course, it's got a pig head. But then it just has this 13, 14, 15, 16. Maybe whoever, if anyone has read this book or anybody that has made it, they can jump in and explain what's going on here with this page. I don't really know exactly what these numbers mean there with that. They're going to break down the one true faith. This is a great piece of art right here. The clergy and the builders and monkey monks. It's got a lot of fun kind of names for stuff, obviously. It says the one true faith has fully embraced the pending doom as prophesied by the two-headed basilisks. The church expects a tithe of 10% of all claims of any significance, but it has no authority to collect. The one true government collects the tithe when it collects taxes. The OTG distributes funds to the OTF church immediately upon collection. So there's a lot of taxes and stuff and people wanting to get their share. So then all of a sudden we have obviously a big color change. So, it's doing its thing, but it's easy to read, and this is fairly basic. These right here is interesting. It's going to break down about the true government. It's going to talk about the Navy, the Army, the Marines, and the civs. And then it's going to talk about the 7 pig-outs. So there's prophecies and stuff laid out from this cannibalistic warthog named Anoink Skegger. There's a lot of course, fun names and titles for stuff. So all must convert or die before witnessing the end. The 7 pig-outs are the basilisk's guidance to all pig scum on how to live a life that glorifies the ultimate end. And then you've got these 7 things, and they're, of course, just terrible. Pig scum go into the void seeking that which others possess. Pig scum see the necessities of wealth and want that for themselves. Why should a pig scum live without luxury? Pig scum eat and drink all that can be eaten and drunk. Pig scum grow in size to show evidence of their favor of the basilisks. Why should a pig scum leave as scrap? So it just shows you about how they pretty much take what they want, do what they want, and that's how it's going to be. So that's kind of like some ways that you can role play your character in essence, in the proper sense. And then we have creating a character. And you're going to get some pretty cool stuff here. You get starting equipment, a D6, D12, and D12 different tables here, and you can get some pretty cool stuff. You can get like a hover bike, hover cart, a hacker kit, technology +2. It does have technology as a skill, like as an ability now, so that's pretty cool. You get these things called pig skins. They're in essence going to be kind of like your powers that you have, and they could be pretty powerful as well. And then you get one more here, and there could be all sorts of stuff like this Swine Tech magnetic grappling hook, or a small dog-sized razor bot that only obeys you and requires batteries to operate. You use a lot of meal pills in this in order to eat. You can roll up your weapon, of course. A lot of these things are funny. Pigtail, pig sticker, pork chop, pig sticker, spear, pecker, pork rinder, porkers, a whole bunch of fun pork-type names. And, of course, you got your armor. Different types like that, some cool art, your abilities. So this time you've got agility, presence, strength, toughness, and technology, meaning how you interact with machines or technological devices. So that's pretty cool. And of course your normal abilities, if you've seen any other Borg products. There's also an optional point buy character creation system, so that's pretty cool. And then there are a lot of character classes here. You can see there's 10 of them, which I was quite impressed by that. And they definitely have the Merkborg feel to them here. The Tusk Boar Beast, definitely up and close and personal with a bite attack. It's interesting to see kind of their different roles. Many of them are kind of almost generic, but in their own pig type variants. Here's the muck-dwelling piglet. This is going to be kind of like your thief right here. And they'll have their different things, such as what is your earliest moment. They're small, they're stealthy when rolling up their attributes, and then they might get some interesting items. A muck flicker. You fling whatever unspeakable mucus-laden muck ball you scoop off your body at the enemy twice per fight. So you like scoop off this nasty stuff and use it. So there's some interesting stuff there. The Kabbalistic Warthog. It's pretty neat. Kind of a mystic type character. Probably going to get a pig skin with them. The Vile Razorback. This thing is pretty crazy. It has the possibility of getting this turd tuba, which I think is absolutely hilarious. Once per day, you can blow on this disgusting brass tuba filled with pig shit. The spray covers everything in a cone out to medium range with a fine, smelly mist of filth. So that's pretty cool. They might make people vomit, and no one wants to witness you refill it. So it does have some fun. Impious Porker here. And an easy way to kind of see is just look at their abilities. They're aware, they're frail. They might get like a pig stick or a riot helmet. It says, you have forsaken the one true faith of the two-headed basilisk. You are determined that their doom is not yours. You search for lore that would counter its doomsayers while avoiding the hunter-killers sent out into the void after you. So you're kind of a heretic. The veiled porcine here. It says, created in a commune of scientists and philosophers, you are an artificial life form who see through realities and knows unspeakable truths. You look and smell like pig scum, but your twitchy demeanor soon betrays your manufacturer. You are grown pretty much by scientists. You might have some jerky movements and stuff like that. It says you have a machine whispers. You get bonuses to technology. You can get some specialties here, a targeting scanner, zero-G training, maybe a jetpack. Some pretty cool stuff. It shows what you roll at what you were created in, maybe a laboratory, or it says being told you were rebooted to factory settings on Galgenbeck. Some interesting stuff here. Here is the Mud-Swilling Musketeer, all about big guns, or a big gun. And of course, you're going to obviously see what you might get from that, being a scope or a deadly ammunition depot, big battery. So you're all about big guns. Whole hog slapper. You have tattoos covering every inch of your skin. Immediately give away your deadly nature as a living weapon. Kind of reminds me of the Adepts from Shadowrun. Pretty cool. And you're going to get different abilities, obviously. Sublime Swine. This is a very strong mental character with psionic powers, being psychic. Pretty neat. And this is kind of one of them as well, but they're a little bit more focused on a certain discipline. And then here we go into the other stuff here. You may start with a cybernetics or psionics, which is interesting. So you're going to roll up here, and you're going to roll a D66, and from 14 to 63 you get nothing. But you could get one cybernetic implant, one psionic power, or you could get one of both. So that's pretty cool. Going to break down your hit points and all that stuff like that. You still got omens, how to improve your pig scum. You can get a lucky find here, which is interesting. You might be able to find some more stuff. So it's added on to Merkborg. Here's everything about the pigskins. Quantum filaments woven into technological scroll-like devices covered with maddening simple fractal philosophies. Pigskins require focus and great care to use properly. So it's pretty interesting. And you've got fetid ones and you've got fragrant ones. And of course, these are going to do some very crazy stuff. Like tractor beam, you can move an object at a certain distance. Wolf's breath, a blast of concussive air, knocks down D2 targets and causes D6 damage to each. Goo army, enough wads of quantum goo to create D4 goo bots. It gives you the stats for them. So there's that. And then on these are going to be stuff that's going to be able to heal you, like pig glue or pork pump. The pig skin energizes you to peak performance, providing you with plus D6 to any roll. So that's pretty cool. Then you got a whole thing about cybernetics. You can get better type of cybernetics as well with different marks. Mark 4 is going to be a DR18 in case someone wants to hack your cybernetics. Hacking your cybernetics is something that you can do in this game, which is pretty interesting. And it's got them all kind of broken down here with their prices and the different marks to show you how good they are going to be and what those cybernetics implants do to help boost you. Getting a leg gives you one more to toughness. Gut gives you makes you immune to poison. So that's pretty neat. Then there's a whole rules here about psionics and how to do those. With a critical success allows you to immediately use the sample power again the following round without another presence test. Very cool. And if you roll a failure, you must roll D8 on this psychic trauma list, which could make you overwhelmed or stunned or twitchy, which could hurt your agility. So it's pretty cool. If you fumble, it means your ability cannot be used again until after you rest. All active psionic abilities stop functioning, and you must roll on the psychic fumble reaction table below, which is right here, which can do a whole bunch of crazy stuff to you, where you curl up into a ball or maybe have hallucinations. Very interesting. And here's the different disciplines. So very cool that they've got this in there. And then there are Starship Academy skills. Everybody starts off in the Starship Academy, and so you're going to get kind of a bonus to your skills. Maybe a medic, a science, tactics, security, or engineer. And they're going to give you some bonuses and stuff. Training or pluses to defense tests, weapon tests, whatever the case may be. So the Sty Ships, which I like that name, is a big part of the game. And then here's the actual rules, of course. You're going to get the normal rules for what is in essence Merkborg here. There is some cool things here with fumbles. They've got a little bit more stuff here. You can roll, weapon breaks, or drop weapon with a ranged weapon. What happens there? Rules for being prone, resting, fire. It's got everything pretty much covered, which I was very impressed by. It has an optional rule here of exploding damage dice, so that's pretty neat. There's a thing called Void Rage. Life in the Void is stressful, dangerous, and otherwise unpleasant. When weird shit happens, constant anxiety and apprehension can affect a pig scum in deep and meaningful ways, separating them from reality and making it difficult to function rationally. Pig scum psychologists refer to the resulting condition as Void Rage. When pig scum encounters something creepy, so this is a bit of a horror type mechanic, unusual or potentially dangerous, you test presence DR12, and some things might happen here. You could get the dread, the jitters. You can get terror, panic, makes you run away. So some very nasty stuff might happen to you, and it's going to give you some examples of when you might need to roll those. Then it goes down into hazards, which I really like this because it's going to break down a lot of stuff when it comes to space. Atmosphere, radiation, starvation, and dehydration. I always like those rules. I think starvation and dehydration should be in every single role-playing game ever made. I don't understand why some games don't have this, especially like a post-apocalyptic game. It makes no sense to me. Suffocating and drowning, and the vacuum of space, as well as zero-G, which you can get trained in how to use that. So there's actual rules for that. You have to make a test, and of course it can make you not move. You're just spinning or rotating. So very cool stuff like that. And then we've got a bunch of creatures here, domesticated beasts. And again, as you've noticed, there hasn't been a whole bunch of that Merkborg craziness. But it still is obviously Merkborg very much inspired. So neat creatures, some cool art right here. But a lot of empty space, but still neat. As I'm just going to kind of scroll by, let you see some of these creatures actually have their own technology. Here's the Dark Puppet. Some of these are actually very interesting. Here's the Exploding Piglet. You definitely don't want to be by that. Hamium is a type of like metal, and so you have Hamium termites, Hamium termite queens. Here's the Lone Wolf, the Mighty Mite. Pig scum of all sorts of different varieties. So if you just need basic other pig scum to fight against, you can have stuff like here, like guards or soldiers or law enforcement or common pig scum. Here's the Pork Prophet. I hope you like a lot of pig type related names. Here's the Ribs Wraith. Pigs come that die from massive ribs exposure sometimes return as Ribs Wraith. So that's cool. Here's a Space Ghost. A lot of stats for it. A lot of stuff it can do. This thing here, Spiritus Mundi, is a huge planet-sized being of great power and unknown intentions. You don't want that. But it looks pretty cool. There's a Squealer. As you can see, we're like halfway through the book. So we're just going to keep on going. War Pig. There's Yogdu, which obviously is the name of the company. Here's the Zomborg. Cybernetically animated dead creature, usually a pig scum. It is a highly contagious virus, causes an infected creature to reanimate after death and join the Zomborg collective. So these are going to be a big, big foe for you in your game. I do like how there's different marks of those too. They can have more cybernetics and more hit points and stuff like that. Then we have some robots. Again, different marks. Stress Bot, Razor Bots, Pigpen Bot, some neat art. And then there's a whole bunch of gear, which I was very impressed by. You can have different armors, different marks of those, shields, equipment. I like how it, of course, changes colors, let you know in this section here. Bunch of different types of equipment here. Like I said, I can't go through all of this. This video would be way too long. So it's very neat. Some cool art. Hover carts, Hover Squirt, which I think is funny. Hypo Squirt. Each dose stops bleeding, cures all known diseases, infections, and poisons, and it heals D6 hit points. That's great. It's a wonder cure. Here is a pig and shit suit, a versatile and flexible spacesuit that comes in a variety of styles and colors. It's the piss suit, PIS. You've got Stink Pretty, fragrances that can affect reactions based on the quality of the fragrance. So that's interesting. Then you've got vehicles, of course, different marks as well. Hover bikes and hover vans. And now we finally got into the weapons. You can see all of them in all their glory. So I find it to be almost kind of calmed down a little bit. And it's a nice kind of refreshing thing to have something I don't have to really struggle on trying to read or see where it is on the page. This gun here is called the Eye Fucker. That's not great. Gonna probably get you with that one. A lot of weapons. A lot of art for the weapons. The art looks pretty crazy for them. And then Exploring the Void. This has got everything you need to know about space. What is a light year? It breaks that down. How big is the void? And already I'm sitting here saying this is a normal role-playing game. This is what you would expect in a game that's not something that's attached to Merkborg and what we've seen before in the past. Distance in the void, starship categories, class and breed, the registry for them, different sizes, how much crew and their base cost, crew members' roles and duty stations, traveling through the void, as you can see here. Navigation fumble table is very cool. There's a bunch of anomalies as well, but here on the fumble table there's dark matter, gravity waves, ion storms, gargantuan nebulas. Very cool. Void gates, massive structures that are shaped like a donut with a third of it missing, slowly rotating until a starship approaches. The center of the void game is large enough to accommodate a dreadnought-class vessel with room to spare. Each void game is a one-way jump that can lead starships to any destination the navigator chooses. So very cool. It definitely almost has a bit of a 40K type feel to it, obviously. Combat navigation, docking and landing a starship, ramming a starship. All about starships here. So they're pretty much like their own character. They actually have toughness and technology, strength and presence and agility. So presence is something, because it was obviously the one that kind of stands out, perceived with anomaly sensors and fire starship weapons. So you're going to make your own character that is your starship. Hit points, violence, initiative, a whole bunch of stuff like that. How to rest, how long is a round, consumable resources, and here's how to create one. Now, one thing that's kind of interesting, I'm not sure, it's almost as if the words here on these pages start to break up a little bit. I don't know if that was what they meant to do. You never can really tell when it comes to Merkborg and Merkborg-related products if that's an intended look. So some of the writing here starts to get a little bit faded, almost kind of broken up. Here's the naming of a starship. I think that's pretty cool. Improving one and the equipment that you'll need for it. As you can see, it starts to break up even more and more right here. You've got the defenses of it, the hamium plating, Mechpork Corp cloak, and a decoy. And you've got these modules too. They're built from modules that enable the crew to perform the essential operations of a vessel and are part of it defining the vessel's overall function. A freighter ship, sty ship will have numerous cargo bays, few weapons, and an AI that runs most of the ship. A failed module that suffers another failure becomes damaged. A sty ship should have enough modules to support its crew and accomplish its mission. So you've got these different things that obviously are going to be part of your sty ship. So a lot of the section of this book is about, obviously, space and your ship. It definitely wasn't just kind of left as a small little thing you kind of have to figure out yourself. They've done a lot of stuff. There's artificial intelligence on your sty ship, so that's cool. How to deal with communications, environmentals, your engine and sensors. This is a section I wasn't expecting a lot of this from the game. I knew the book was big, and I was like, well, what's that section gonna be? What's all these pages? And this is what it is. Here's a bunch of their weapons: kinetic weapons, energy weapons, dreadnought weapons, crew morale, crew actions. I mean, pretty much the whole back of this book is all this. Space combat. So if you really want a system for Merkborg when dealing with a ship, this is going to be it. It talks about technology from some of the different aliens, as you can see here, like the Lone Wolf and the Squealer. So that's pretty cool to give some of these aliens their own technology. And of course the Zomborgs. And the Zomborgs have taken over like 10,000 or something systems. I mean, they're absolutely just, they're winning every day. And so the odds that you're going to be taken over by a Zomborg are very high. So they're just a huge threat. And then we've got this great thing here, campaign building tools, a mission generator, an employer table with goals in mind, what you can do, villains and villain goals, locations. So a lot of this stuff is really just great. And I like to have the fact that it's got this example for you. It's always nice to see an example, especially when it comes to something that you're randomly rolling up. Galaxy, star, and planet naming, very neat. Solar system and planet creator. Of course, this is all great with me, as I did some of the same stuff, and this is obviously much more thorough with Pocket Space. So colonies, colony types, civilizations. Here's contagion and disease. I mean, this is a full game. We've got some deck plans here for some ships, which is pretty interesting. Not exactly sure how you use these as much. Probably the PDF would help you be able to get that off a little bit better. And then we've got our long list of backers. So there it is. It's got a great thing here at the back telling you how to do everything. A little bit of a cheat sheets here. How to do adventuring and combat, morale, pick scum abilities and tests. So we've got that kind of quick reference thing. And then here's the back. So I was impressed by this book. I was impressed by its size, how much stuff you get. It's inspired, obviously, by Merkborg and uses the same system, but it fully gives you its game. It doesn't really do a lot of vagueness and letting you fill in the blanks. It actually gives you a lot of that information, which is a nice change from some of the other products I've seen from Merkborg and its third-party products. So I commend that. I think it looks good overall. I would have liked for it to take a couple more crazy things and kind of get more into the Merkborg look. Some of these pages towards the end, they're just pretty normal. I mean, I think if you were flipping through this, you wouldn't see, if someone just showed you these pages, you would think that this was attached to the kind of Merkborg vibe at all. It kind of does that in the beginning, but then it just kind of starts having to give you a lot of information, which is fine. Like I said, I'm glad that this thing is giving you this information, and it really probably can't give you a lot of that flowery artistic stuff if it's going to give you all this information. It probably is what separates it from Merkborg. But you're going to have a lot of fun with this game, especially if you've got some, maybe you like Warhammer 40k, you want to have some fun with your friends, you know, you're ready to make a bunch of pig jokes, bacon jokes, swine, and all sorts of stuff like that. You're ready to oink and make a bunch of noise around the table and squeal like pigs. This is going to be the game for you. But on the flip side, it also is very interesting that it's a very thorough game with a lot of great stuff for space combat, the sty ships, some cool creatures, and just overall a really complete package, which I'm happy to see. Lots of equipment, 10 character classes. It does some different stuff with the character. I think that's with the characters. I think that's really great. So it's kind of branching out on its own. And it's kind of not exactly what I expected. It's much better, actually. So there it is, Porkin the Void. Take a look at it, see what you think. I'll have links down in the description. Whatever link I can put to anywhere where you might be able to pick this up. I'm not sure if you can still get this Kickstarter edition of it. It is very nice, but I'm certain the drive-thru RPG version, print on demand, is good as well. So there's Porkin the Void. Very cool it does have some, some dirty type stuff in it, but nothing crazy. Nothing that's too offensive or anything like that. But it's fun, and I'm glad that it's out there. So there it is, Porkin the Void. I hope you've liked this video, and thanks for watching.